We're going to talk a little bit about the surgical videos, and I'm going to do a screen share here with you. We're going to talk about drawing hands and drawing instruments, because that is kind of what a big part of this give me a second. And it's a big part of what this project is about, what a surgical piece is about. And so there's a couple things that come up in this. Most of these photos are from pieces that I have done. This first one, I needed a probe that was going to be sucking liquid up. And I didn't have one of those, obviously, but I keep a box of gloves in the office for photos, and just used an eraser as to fill in for the instrument, and went back later and obviously drew the instrument in. But when you're working with hands, especially for a medical illustration that needs to be precise, always use photo reference. I cannot think of an instance when I have drawn a hand as part of a surgery or anything else that I haven't set up the shot and taken photo reference with gloves on. Don't try to shoot these without gloves and then go back and be like, well, I'll just smooth it out and make it look like gloves. It never works. It just absolutely never works. People always try. It just doesn't work. This is another piece. The one on the right is the reference that the researcher gave me. The one in the image in the middle is one I found online, and that's a sketch for the I don't remember what that was, another version of that tool in the first, of the instrument in the first one. Here's another one for a surgical piece. My wife has to pose for a ton of these things, so I don't always try to use myself. I use somebody else so I can direct the shot and get things like I want. This one, actually, I ended up using just the top hand and flipping it and using it twice, and then obviously the shading had to change a little bit on that one. This is one from the breastfeeding book that I worked on a year ago. I hire a photographer who does a birth photographer, so she takes pictures of newborn babies. Because it would be weird if I just called a woman up and said, can I take a picture of you breastfeeding? But she's a professional at this, so she got all these reference photos for me. But they weren't always exactly what I needed. So then things like, posing the hands in different ways to get what I needed for the drawing. Here's another one, just using my hand and then putting the anatomy in it. This one I used my hand in a hand skeleton model. These are pretty inexpensive. I bought that one just for the job. I have one of a foot that I bought for another job. Another one is my hand and then adding the anatomy into it, but always working from photo reference for your hands. This one, I think I used on the top photo, I used the hand on the left, the person's right hand. And on the bottom, and I use the left hand on the bottom one, on the right side. So I combine these. What's that?
I really like how you used a Crayola marker.
Yeah, anything to stand in. I knew what the instruments, the tools look like that I need to, but you don't have access to that. So
yeah.
But you can always find photo reference for that, where your client can give you photos of it. And then, that's where your artistic ability comes in, is you have to simplify these. Here's another. This is not hands. This is just showing another reference photo. This is the photo on the left that the client gave me, which has a ton of lens distortion in it. So this is my cleaned up sketch version of it, trying to correct some of the lens distortion. Then I took that into Adobe Illustrator and got all the geometry perfect. And then I used that as the base for the drawing that's on the right. So always starting with the photo reference, which the photo reference is not always good. The lighting can suck. There can be lens flare. Things are out of the proportions weird. let's see. This really won't matter in these. There are some, it was for another project that we did. There are some differences between male and female hands, which you all probably know already. The guys' hands tend to typically have more squared off fingertips. Women's hands tend to be a little slimmer, which makes the fingers look a little bit longer. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. So if the surgeon in the video is a male and you can tell that from the hands, but the person you have modeling for it is a female and you can tell that by the hands, that's fine. It doesn't matter. And then show enough detail so you get the point across. You usually don't have to show fingernails, at least not in detail. You're going to be doing mostly gloves, but I come back to this one where the fingernails are just hinted at. If I don't have any other without. See that one? Yeah. I don't know why it says it's not a cartoon, but the big thing is it's not cheating. All right, working from photo reference isn't cheating. It's a way to get accurate information. If you try to just draw these things from your imagination, they do end up looking kind of cartoony. If you're doing cartoons and you're doing graphic comics and stuff, and then that's fine. But for medical illustration, it needs to be a little more exact. The other thing, I don't think I put it in here. Here it is. When drawing the gloves, simplify. Don't try to draw every little wrinkle. If you look at, all right, so the hand on the bottom where the black Crayola is, you can see these little poofs and wrinkles on the fingers. I took them out of my sketch. On the top hand, the hand that's on the left, you can see on the fingers, you can see these little wrinkles, but I took them out on the one on the left. So you need to include enough wrinkles that it's obvious you're not just drawing a balloon hand, enough folds, but you have to kind of eliminate them so that it doesn't become so busy that that becomes the focal point of the illustration. Right. So questions on that, on drawing hands? Always work from photo reference. That's the most important thing. A lot of these illustrations that you're going to be doing have medical instruments in them. And the proper term is instruments, not tools. Not super important, but just so you know. And all the instruments have different names and they have different uses. Sometimes a surgeon will use something that's not the exact way it's supposed to be used, but for the most part, there's hundreds of surgical instruments and they all have a specific purpose. So if you need to draw the instrument that they're using. That's the important part of this. This first picture here is of a needle holder. The second one is called a tissue forceps. It's specifically a rat tooth forceps because it has a point on it. I don't know if you can see the point on there. We'll look at it from another view. And then surgical scissors, which are used to cut sutures. This was from the suture project we did last year. Most surgical instruments have one of these two types of joints on them, this closed like box joint or this screwed with this joint with the screw on it. And then they have this locking ratchet on a lot of things. So again, just make sure that you're drawing the right instrument. You can't just kind of fudge through and make this stuff up. There's a big difference between the rat tooth forceps on the right and the smooth tip forceps on the left versus the thin one in the middle, and what they're going to be used for. The one on the right, depending on what you're doing with it, has the potential to cause injury to tissues because it has the point on it. But it does get used for things, but it kind of depends on what the surgery is. The forceps, while these are all different types of forceps, the hemostatic forceps and the curved tip forceps are typically used to clamp off blood vessels. A needle forceps is a little bit different than the hemostatic forceps, and it's used for holding needles to do sutures. And a sponge and a towel forceps are pretty self-explanatory. So again, every instrument, everything they do, there's a different instrument for it. It's kind of amazing, the amount of things. And the scissors, they have just all kind of different tips, different blade types, and again, they're all for different things. So when you're watching this, when you're watching the surgery and you're going to draw an instrument in your scene, make sure you understand what it is you're drawing. Even the needles that they do sutures with are different. Some of them have a real sharp cutting point for like going through skin, through the epidermis layer. Some might have a blunt point if it's like fatty tissue, something that's going to come apart really easily. So there's just different types of needles, even depending on what the type of surgery is. I don't always know by looking at the surgery which type of instrument or needle they're going to be using, but if you examine your still shots and you examine the video closely, you can usually figure out what they're using. Let's see what else. I'm not sure why that's there. Okay, so this is one I did in grad school, and if you ask me, I left way too many wrinkles right here on the hand, so it's just a little overdone. But some sketches for that. These are some dental instruments, a peritoneal elevator and extraction forceps. This is for getting in the gum and lifting the tooth up and then grabbing it with those big pliers and cranking it out. If you're interested in that, I have like 100 photos from tooth extractions. You're welcome to peruse. And this would be, this is, all right, so this is one I was doing. I did not have the proper forceps, and I needed to see how to tie this surgical knot. So I used pliers. And instead of going around the blood vessel, I put it around this pair of scissors. And I did have a set of forceps that I could use. So just having stand-ins, but making sure you're getting the proper instruments in there. But again, always working from reference. Here's where that finally went. I think I like the line piece better than the final on that one. And this is one that I did in grad school, which is exactly what you're doing, only we had to do 3 of the finished illustrations instead of 1, where you watch a surgery, you sketch it out, you sketch out your steps, and then you illustrate. You're going to illustrate 1 of them. We did 3 of them. So in writing, what I would like you to have on Tuesday, and you'll have to submit it. We're going to have we're going to have a virtual class, meaning that it's going to be recorded. There's nothing, it's not even recorded. All right, so what I want you to do on Tuesday is to go back and watch the video, watch the surgical video, do your sketches, try to come up with the 6 or however many steps that you can do. Which one do you think you might want to do for a final? Write some notes in there. I'll go through and look at all of them. I'm going to take this one out. I was going to have you do some independent sketches of just instruments and hands, but I hope you guys know that when you're in groups, I can overhear everybody, but everyone's talking at once. But it sounds like you guys are really under a lot of stress and got a whole lot of work going on. So we'll take the extra sketches out of this. But for Tuesday, there's a movie under that section called, it's by David Hockney. Let's see what it's called. Oh, it says Hockney's Secret Knowledge Video. It should pop up there. Do you see that? Right here. It's by David Hockney. It's called Secret Knowledge, and it's you just have to watch it. It's talking about the drawing techniques of the old masters and what they did for photo reference in their time, and that it's and I put these things up because I find a lot of people are like, well, it's cheating to use reference. It's not. It's making a good drawing, and you can't make a good drawing if you're not working from reference. So for Tuesday, surgical sketches and watch the Hockney video. Okay, questions about that?
I know a lot of my I know a lot of my teachers still tell me that that it's okay to do like photo mashing, so like combining different pictures from the internet and making your own like pictures based off what you're looking at. And they said that it's not cheating or anything
Good.
to reference like
Yeah, it's
that.
good, and it's good to work from reference. I think it's super important. I run into people all the time they don't want to do that, but you have to, especially for this kind of stuff. Let's see. Okay, any questions on where we're at with that and what is expected?
You'd have to have like a pretty good photographic memory to not like work from reference. Like if you want to have like,
You gotta
unless
be
you have like a ridiculous style that I guess works without photo reference, you can just
mechanical. If you're a robot,
Well, try watching that surgical video and sketching as it goes. You got to move super fast to try
no,
to to try to sketch, which is why I prefer to get get the surgeries on video instead of seeing them live. Seeing them live is very cool. It's neat to be asked into the operating room to observe those things, but what you can do in there is very limited because your angle is always sucks. You can never get as close as you need to really see things, and video is definitely the preferable way to work from these things. So, all right, well, no questions about the assignment right now. What we're going to do is I've got another molecular piece that we'll see how far we can get through it today. We might have to break it in two. Let me pull is my screen still sharing? It should be. Yeah. Okay. Let me close that down. All right. This is the illustration that I want to show you how to do. And this is a molecular piece. This is all done with Chimera and Photoshop. I did absolutely no drawing on this piece at all. So it's just going in and getting different images that I want within the Chimera program, bringing them into Photoshop and compiling them together. If you go on to find it, Go Studio again, under the molecular piece, I put up a PDF. It says updated with DNA. So it's the same PDF we worked from last week, but it's been updated. So if you want to go ahead and download that, that's what we're going to work from today. All right, everybody have Chimera going and have the not yet? Okay.
Not yet. It's loading.
Okay.
Honey, you never bake for my attention till I'm on calls.
I didn't hear that if somebody was talking to me.
I'm just sorry. I had my mic on still, and I'm telling my birds to be quiet because the budgies never want my attention unless I'm on a call.
All right. So I think we start on page like 20 or something like that for the DNA piece.
It's called Chimera, not Primera, right? Is it called Chimera?
It's Chimera. I think.
Chimera. Okay. I was searching it up in my application, so I was trying to.
It's spelled CH though, CHI. It's Chimera 1.15, CHIMERA.
And I noticed this the other day when I was trying to look for it in the class, but I didn't really think much about it. Whenever I search my applications for Chimera, it's not there anymore. And I don't know why. I didn't delete it.
You can't find it right now?
Yeah, like my computer, like I have my old files. It just opens up like a weird like transcript of my old files, but like it's like acting like Chimera's not on my computer.
Do you need to download it again? Why don't you try that?
I probably, but I didn't delete it. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you on a Mac?
Yeah.
Okay. Not that that's the thing. I have no idea of how to help you.
Try searching for UCSF instead of Chimera.
There you go.
Okay, let me try that.
Besides Chimera, what other thing did you want us to open?
That document, excuse me, that document on Go Studio. Right here, it says updated with DNA, step-by-step visualizing a molecule with Chimera in the protein data bank.
Is the link to download it, is it going to be on Moodle?
The link to download it. Where did I put the link to download it? Yes, it should. It's right here underneath that. Underneath the document, it says Chimera download 145 megabyte. That should download it for you. All right. You guys work on that. Let's take another 5. I'm going to go refill my water, and I'll be right back up.
I think I got it.
Did you guys show the kidneys yet? I keep getting kicked out of the meeting in the beginning.
Wait, is there a gym board for the kidneys?
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys were going through them or yet or not.
I don't think I have it. Does somebody have the link to it?
It should be. It's probably gone by now.
It's still there. I just say there's like 3 jam boards, so I'm not sure which link is which. There's
You guys go
5
through
jam
'em?
boards.
I'll send it. I'll send it here at the bottom.
We didn't get to it yet, though.
Yeah, we haven't talked
I
about
kept
it.
getting kicked out of the meeting, so that's why I couldn't do.
If my
My
stupid
internet's
bird-
been like really bad.
I swear, if my bird just pooped on me, I'm gonna be mad. He's on my shoulder right now. Won't surprise me though. Birds have no sense of dignity.
Does your bird talk?
He not always works. He could, if he stops biting me, ow, ow. He can sing. He's a cockatiel. There is one bird that can literally talk. She says things like, "What you doing?" She says, "Hi." She'll say, "Hello, baby." She just says a bunch of things or makes noises she thinks are funny. She likes to laugh at really dark things. She's kind of messed up and evil, but she's also a good girl. And she just made a noise. And then I have 2 budgies. They just make sounds. And 2 conures that are my parents.
All right. You guys all ready to roll?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, my brain just slowed down to screeching halt.
All right. We are going to from scratch build a DNA double helix in Chimera. Let me find the picture. And I have another picture here I wanted to show you, unless I got rid of it accidentally. Oh, here it is. All right. So this is a chromosome, and if you break it down into this long strand called chromatin, and then you break that down even further, you get into the DNA helix that we're going to be drawing. So the ones that we're going to be drawing or modeling are going to be straight tubes, just because in Chimera we don't have a way to bend things. I have one in a 3D program that I'm kind of in the process on, where it's this long piece of DNA, and then I took it in there and was able to like twirl it around and stuff, and it looks a little more realistic. But we're gonna start with it today, and let's just dig in. But I wanted to show you where that was. So if you have your sheet with you, we're going to start by going to Tools. We're going to start with a blank screen. Just go to Tools, and you're going to go to Structure Editing, and you're going to go to Build a Structure. And that should get you this. All right. In here, you're going to check helical DNA. And you're going to type in this word Gattaca. Have you guys seen this movie? Anybody seen the movie Gattaca? It's like from the 90s.
Yeah, kinda. I don't remember it all. I don't know. I don't think we got to finish it in class, but it was like in biology in high school.
I bet you did.
It was kind of stupid to me. It was
my favorite movie. That's okay. So
slow.
the movie Gattaca it's all about genetic engineering. The GATC, and there's one more.
Is that with Jude Law and he's like in a wheelchair or something? He's an astronaut.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
So the G, A, T, and C are letters that are used to identify different areas within the DNA. So whoever wrote that movie, they were pretty clever and they combined that together and to make the word Gattaca. So if we take the word Gattaca, type it in there and copy it and paste it like 4 or 5 times. Whoopsie, let's do it different.
Wait, in the beginning, do we click Atom, PYC?
What's that? I didn't hear you, Tim.
Okay, so I'm stuck in the beginning. Do I click Atom.pyc?
You go to Tools and then Structure Editing, and then Build Structure.
Yep. Let me get in there again. So I don't understand what you mean. So Tools.
Okay, Build Structure. Okay.
Structure Editing, and then Build Structure. That should get you here, and you're going to choose helical DNA, RNA, and then you're going to type in your code, Gattaca. You could, if you want to, put any combination in there. It doesn't really matter as long as it's those 4 letters.
Gattaca?
Yeah, Gattaca, and then just repeat that like 4 or 5 times. And then you should be able down here to hit, let's see, give it a name. There's a list you can find it in later if you need it. Color new atoms by element and then hit apply. And you should end up with that. And you're done.
You said, okay, so you click DNA and then you click apply?
Yeah. Tools.
Sequence letter E illegal for DNA.
E? You can't use E.
Oh, it's Gattaca?
Yeah. Gattaca.
It says sequence letter E illegal for DNA. So Gattaca. I did that 4 times.
All right, let's see. All right. Did you
Share your
did
screen.
you check the helical DNA down here? And did you check DNA right here?
Yeah, I clicked the DNA. I typed in Gattaca 4 times, and then I clicked DNA.
And okay, A form or B form shouldn't. There's something that you didn't hit. Just delete that out of there, and try typing it in all lowercase again. I'm not quite. I can't. Without seeing it, I can't quite tell you what the problem is. Check for spaces. Don't leave a space between them.
Okay.
Check for. All right, I'm gonna move forward with this a little bit. We can come back and catch you up if we need to. Okay, just yell when you get it up again. All right. So what we're gonna do is you don't have to pick an exact position yet. You can kind of move it around. We're not gonna just totally lock it down yet. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Actions. And you're gonna go to Atoms and Bonds, Nucleotoid Objects, and then Settings. And that should give you, where are you? Where's my little window? There it is. That should give you this, nucleotides. And on here, we're going to make some changes. If you go to backbone and set it as a ribbon, and then the side, you're going to turn that to atoms and bonds. Run radius doesn't really matter. And then you should hit apply, and that should give you a slight change. So now you have the ribbon with the actual DNA code is now done as atoms and bonds. Then you're going to go up to presets, and you're going to choose publication 3. That gets the white background that we want. And it's also, if you notice, if you turn it so it's pointing right at you, it gives you some depth of field, so it fades as it goes away, which can be kind of handy in some of the illustrations that we're doing. So I like that preset. It's kind of fun. All right. Then we're going to go back up to actions, and we're going to go to atoms and bonds. And we're going to change those to ball and stick. And we get that. So now we've got all these little ball and stick for the DNA coding. This is probably a good time to, we'll save the session a few times, but this is probably a good time to save your session. So if you need to, you can come back to this step right here and not have to start over again. So if you just go to File, Save Session As, or Save Session, I've done it a few times. Let's see. Downloads. I'm going to call it, I'm just calling it Gattaca DNA. Call it 1. All right, so that'll be my session save. Is everybody to that point? Tim, did you get it up and running yet?
I still can't. I don't know what's going on. I did GATTACA 4 times, lowercase. I clicked helical DNA/RNA, and then I clicked apply, and I keep getting errors.
I would probably at that point uninstall Chimera and reinstall it.
Okay.
It's probably going to be your next best bet. There may be a conflict with some other program or something. All right. All right, so save your session. We're going to go back to do partly what we did on the last molecular piece, where we're going to get rid of the color right now. So if you go to select and you say select all, and then you go to actions, color, and tell it to white. So now we have an entirely white double helix. It should look something like that. Which I could see actually using that green outline at some point. I don't want it for this right now, but it's kind of neat looking. Now we're going to go to, we're going to do the lighting. So we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to go to Viewing Controls, and we're going to choose Lighting, which also gets you the Effects panel, if you remember. So on our lighting, I should be able to unselect this and still have it adjust. Let's see so I can see it better. There we go. If I'm going to turn the brightness up, contrast up, if I go to effects, I can turn on the silhouette to get my outline if I want it. turn on the shadows to give it a little more shadow. And this is where you're going to want to pick a view that you're going to want to work from for a while, because we're going to start taking still images. So rotate it around, get something that you want to work with. Let's see. Not yet. Don't do that yet. All right. So at this point right here, I can do a couple things. I'm going to start saving some images, and we're going to compile these. Everybody's piece will probably end up looking a little bit different, but I'm probably going to save 10 or 12 images while we do this, and then when we get them into Photoshop, you can play with what you like best. So there we go. Save image, file, save image, and then give it a name. It's called that shadow one, and you can go back and let's see, turn the shadows off. Multi-sample cleans it up quite a bit. I'm going to screenshot that one, so you can just do as many as you want. I'm going to get rid of the silhouette and just have the shadow. That looks kind of cool. Let's see, what else do I want to do? I'm going to go back into lighting. I'm going to change the mode, the mode to ambient. Oopsie. I'm going to go back and get either my shadows. I'm going to get my outline on that. Just to get a plain outline. That's kind of cool. So just, do some variations. Save what you like. I'll give you a couple minutes to kind of play around with the settings. There's no right or wrong on this. That's kind of cool. Okay. Everybody good? All right. I'm going to, let's see where we're going to go next. I'm going to go up here. I did not think I saved. Did I save that view? I'm going to hate myself if I didn't. Try it. It's a good. You can at this point. You can restore your session if you want to get all the color back. You probably don't have to right now. But if we go into the select and you hit chain A, and then you say actions, color, and you pick a color for it. I like this light gray. And select chain B, actions, color, and I like that blue, which I think look kind of good together. I need to clear the selection.
Sorry,
All right,
I got
looks
lost at some
What's
point.
that?
I
What's
got
that?
lost at the point where you were coloring them.
Okay, so to add the color, you're going to go to select and pick chain. So like chain A, and then actions, color, and then pick a color you want to work with. I like the gray and the blue together. Then you can go select chain B. So what it's doing is giving you one side of the helix is A, the other side is B. So you're getting a two-colored kind of spin on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to clear all the selection, see how that looks. I'm going to save that image because I kind of like it. Color 1. And I'm going to go back in here with the lighting and change it to ambient. And I'm going to save that image while I got two colors up. So there's no exactly right way to do this. You just kind of get lots of different screenshots of colors, etc. But there are some fun things you can do. So let me get back to single on that. If we go to actions, surface, and show, it'll put the surface on there. And I'm going to screenshot that. And then if we do that again, actions, surface, and you come down here to transparency. And I found that 70% works kind of cool. And now you have the surface, but you can kind of see through it. And you can play with the opacity however you want it. Save a few of those.
Where was it? Action.
I'll show you. Actions, surface, show, and then that'll show that surface structure. And then once you get it shown, you go to it again, you go actions, surface, and come down to transparency. And then pick 70, 60, 70, 80, whatever you like. You can play around, try some different ones.
Thank you.
Then I'm going to go in here. Another thing I like to do is I'm going to hide the atoms and bonds to get rid of that. I think, and I'm going to hide the ribbon. Now I just have that color structure at 70%. I'm going to save that image. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to use. I'm just kind of, I have an idea in mind, but I'm just kind of playing around with it. Actions, atoms, and bonds, and I'm going to show again. Surface, I'm going to hide, and I haven't tried, let's try that one. And making sure I got all the ones that I kind of had on my list here. I wasn't following the step-by-step exactly, but so it's pretty much just, turning on and off different things. So ribbon, I'm going to turn that back on, show. And I think I'm going to do atoms and bonds, hide. I don't know if I have this one yet with just the DNA helix. That's pretty neat. For that, I'm actually going to go over here. I'm going to turn it back to ambient. I'm not going to do that. Add to the bond. Okay, so I'm back to that. Did you guys get a bunch saved? Get some different looks? I think I have this one already, but I'm going to save it again because I can't remember. Never hurts, just pixels. And I'm going to save this session again. All right. Now what we want to do is we want to have other DNA molecules in our piece. So now we're going to take and we're going to turn this in different configurations and do screenshots. So save these images. I just call them secondary 1, secondary 2, and then it doesn't matter, just all kind of views. You don't know exactly what you might want. And you can always come back and make some more if you need to. And you don't have to scale them down unless they won't fit on the page the way you want, because we'll scale them down in Photoshop. How you guys doing?
Is there also a list on like the thing of what else we needed to save?
There's a step-by-step has all the different, most of the different varieties that we came up with here are in that.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because I don't know if I got them all. But
It doesn't, that's, if you didn't, it's not a big deal. Everybody's piece is going to be a little bit different. So just what you have to work with is what you'll have to work with. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be able to make something out of whatever you have.
Okay.
All right. Tim, did you get it working?
I'm actually re-downloading it still.
Are you really?
So yeah, it wasn't working before, so I'm reinstalling it, and it's taking forever. It's probably because when I first downloaded it, it must have just been a bad file or something, because there's no way that I believe that something like some simple steps like that are still giving me errors and all that.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Well, this is being recorded, and I have the step-by-step online, so you can go back and follow along in it, catch up in it. All right. Okay. Once you get to this point, though, you can pretty much be done with Chimera. And we're going to go to Photoshop. This is the piece I made as a sample for you guys, and I'll walk you through how I did the background and everything. But if you see, I just dumped in here on the right, I just dumped in every image that I captured, and then I played around with them, like what went where. So those are this group 2 is all that primary piece with a layer on top. And then this group 1, those are all the background pieces. So we're going to make a new one similar to this. So if I go to File, New. My default new is 9x12 at 300. You can make it any size you want. Is anybody new to Photoshop? Are you all kind of experienced, it seems like? Okay. If you get, If you have problems, let me know. So we're going to start with a gradient. So we're going to go up here and we're going to, let me get my pen, it's quicker. And add a layer. And choose the gradient tool. If you double click and if you click once and open the gradient editor, you can come in here and I picked from blues. You can pick any color scheme you want. I just like the blues. There's just, there's red, there's everything you want in here. Pick one of the gradients that you like. Tell it okay. And then we are going to go up here and pick a radial gradient. And you're just going to come kind of to the top middle of your piece. And if you click and drag, you'll fill that gradient in with a light center and dark edges. If it's the other way around, there's a button up here that says reverse. You can click the reverse and it'll flop it with a dark center and light and getting light as it goes out. So add in a gradient.
I just realized they saved these all with a dark background. And
You saved them all with a dark background?
I'm upset.
Well, you might be able to pick them out with the magic wand tool. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. All right. So then take that layer and duplicate it. And then I think I just dropped that in as a multiply layer. And I did that just to I was having trouble getting the real rich, dark color that I wanted. And I found that dropping it in on a multiply layer did a really good job of that. All right. Now we're going to make the light beams that were coming down from the background. So we're going to add another layer. My computer is not happy about all this. We're going to open the gradient editor again. And we're going to change the gradient type to noise.
You said this was being recorded, right?
It is, yeah.
I'm going to have to go back through and just do it that way.
Okay. All right, so change the gradient to noise. Change the roughness up to 100%. And then I did not like the way the green looked, so I went here and got rid of all the green in there. And add transparency. That's the other one you want turned on, is the add transparency. To get rid of that background, we don't want all that. We just want stripes. And then you can come and get something you like. You can hit randomize, and it'll give you different patterns that obviously are random. Say okay, and then we're going to use this angle gradient. So right beside the radial, if you go to the angle gradient and you kind of start where you started for the last one, and you just pull down, it should throw that. Wow, that looked good the first time. It should throw that in there. If you don't like it, delete it and go back up here and hit random, and it'll change and you can drop another one in until you get something that you like. Then this layer, we don't want it to look like that, obviously. We're going to go in here and set it as a screen. And I'm going to take the opacity down quite a bit. I am going to add a color overlay on this. So if you double click on it, this layer style panel comes up. So just double click out here and then go to color overlay and select color overlay. And then you can pick whatever color you want for that overlay. And then you can play with the opacity in a second. And we're going to do one more thing to it. We're going to go up to filter and blur. And you're going, I don't know how to pronounce this, Gaussian blur.
I think that was right.
Is it? And I think I set it like around 30, something like that. And you can, if you don't have your preview button on, turn the preview on and you can see what you're getting. I'm going to lighten my color overlay too. You can go back and correct and change the color overlay. I'm going to go a little bit lighter. I want it a little bit brighter. Okay. And we're going to add one more layer on this. We're actually going to add a couple more layers. The background is like kind of time consuming. We're going to go up here and we want to do another gradient. We want to do a radial gradient. And I'm going to go back and change this back to solid. Somewhere in here, there's a blue to, find it. There's a blue to transparent. Let me see if I can find it. It's under basics. That's where it is. It's yellow to transparent. I think I can change the color. So I'm going to go a light blue to, that's a white. I want this one over here. Sorry. I don't want that with the white. I want light blue to transparent. So come here. I can change the color. Kind of bright. Come on. There we go. And another radial, and I should be able to, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to do reverse. There, kind of like that. So it's a gradient that goes from your blue to a transparent over top. And then you're going to take the opacity down on this. We want like a bright spot up there, like the light's coming in from up there. Kind of like the DNA is floating around in a cup of water, and somebody shined a light in there at you while you're swimming with it. Why you're swimming with it, I don't know. All right. Good, everybody there? Ish? How you guys doing? Okay. And now we're going to add some light spots on here. So add yet another layer. And we're going to have to adjust the brush for this one. So if you go to general brushes, like just your generic Photoshop brushes, and you pick like a soft round brush, we're going to go in here to brush settings, and we're going to make some changes. So right here on the brush tip shape, the first thing I'm going to change is the spacing. I'm going to open this up to about somewhere between 150 to 200%, somewhere in there. Doesn't matter exactly where you're at. Then we're going to go to shape dynamics. And we're going to take size jitter. And you're going to turn that all the way up. And come to scattering. And we're going to turn scatter up to around 800, I think is what I used on that. And you're going to hit this box for both axes. To get back to brush tip, I'm going to change the major size of it just a little bit. You can adjust the size after you're out using it, of course. But all right, so that should give me, if I come here and I get some white, I should be able to paint some spots down with this. And I'm going to make them heavier as they're up near the top. If you want it brighter, you can just duplicate this layer and then change the opacity of it if you want it brighter. Can't decide. I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to take and I'm going to pick kind of a light purple color, and I'm going to make some additional spots on this layer so it's not so flat with just the white. Not as many. I got a glare on my screen right now. There we go. And I'll probably turn the opacity down on that just a little bit. Maybe. This is where we start getting into, you just kind of have to adjust it how you like it. All right. Everybody there? Ish? Okay. All right. Brush settings.
Real quick, how did you get in the brush settings for it to be the scattery? Like I tried scatter and they're still coming in lines. Like I was
scattering. Did you turn it way up to like 800%?
Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah. Okay.
And then hit the both axes button.
Okay.
You might be able to turn the count. You can turn the count up too if you want to get more. I just left it where it was. I think I had actually turned the count up to about 3 last time.
Okay.
This is a temporary setting. When I restart Photoshop, this will all go back to where it was. If you want to save it as a brush, you need to go in here and do a new brush preset and then redo the settings and give it a name. But this'll go away. All right. We are there. All right, I'm gonna add a new. Well, I don't need to add a. Yeah, I do need. I'm gonna put a new layer in here. I think I need a new layer. Let's see. And I'm gonna go out and find all those images that we did, if I can. These are today's. And I'm just gonna select every one of them. Even the ones that are at different angles. And I can just drag those and drop them right on there. And just drop them all on. And then just check them each. All right. All these that I took that are at different angles, I'm going to select those. I'm going to put them in a folder, their own folder. And just get them out of the way and hide them. And then for now, I'm going to turn off all of these except one, like one with an outline, I would leave up. Set it as a multiply layer, or just turn the opacity way down works too. You can just go normal and turn the opacity down. We're just doing this for placement right now. That kind of works. I'm going to take all of these. I almost forgot to do this step. I'm going to stick them in their own folder. And I'm going to rescale these all at the same time. So Control T for transform. And if you grab a corner and pull, and you hold Alt, it'll pull from the center. You guys probably already know that already. And then just however you want your main image to look. You can turn it, you can do whatever you want with it. All right. Now is when you start playing around, and yours is going to be different from mine and everybody else's. Let's see. I'm trying to think where I started. Let me find one of my shadow ones. There's a shadow. Turn that on. How did I do that? Shadows. I did my shadow layer. I did as an overlay. And again, you may use all of them. You may not. This surface one, I think I set out a multiply. Nope, I didn't do that. That looks like crap. Oh, that's dark and I hit the wrong one. Multiply. There's a color piece. And you're just going to have to start layering and kind of play around with them and see what you can come up with that looks good. So that's kind of cool. That one all the way to the top. And then I like to just go pull stuff up and just kind of flip through the filters and see if I find one that makes it look neat. Interesting. So this is a point where you just kind of play around with it. On the one that I did earlier, let's see, I used, I'm going to close this one down that we just did because my computer's choking. I used just the outline of it. I used the color structure of it, just different layers. Put a layer mask over it. So this one up here gave me most of the color, but I put a layer mask over it just to get the color highlighted in just this area. And then what you're going to do, once you get that adjusted as you like it, you can come back in here to your other pieces that you did. Let me pull a couple more in here. So I pulled these in, and you select them and you have to rasterize them so you can modify them. And then this is where I come in with the magic wand tool, and I just select all the white background and delete it. Control T to transform. I'm going to, whoopsie, I need to get out of there. Get rid of the marquee. I'm just going to scale these down.
When are we turning these in again?
There is no deadline, no strict deadline for this. These are kind of exercises. We're going to do one more molecular modeling thing, and then in class, this is an all in class assignment unless you had a problem today and couldn't follow along. And then we're going to do a molecular illustration of your choosing based on the things that you've learned here. And I can help you come up with ideas if you're, worried about what you will choose. But eventually, if you want to redo the DNA, that's totally cool. If you want to do something else, it's just to kind of introduce you to the idea of it. And then these that are smaller in the background, after you scale them, you go up here to filter, and we're going to put the Gaussian blur on there again. If you go to blur, and that's way too much. And you just think about it like if the depth of field of a camera lens. And then you might need to change the opacity a little bit, depending on what you're doing. And that, I can say that's all there is to it. Now it comes into like, taking a half an hour and just playing with different filters and different layering, different screens, seeing what you like. And then make sure you put your signature on it and save it. And then on the molecular illustration project folder in there, just submit it like you do anything else, and we'll keep a record of what you do. So it would be good to do this one. It would be good to go back and do the first one on the step-by-step if you didn't do it last time, and then we'll do one more. And then from those 3 experiences, you can kind of come up with an idea of your own that I can help you come up with of what on a molecular level you might want to illustrate.